Punishment is appropriate.
To take his properties, including this apartment behind me. Aaron?
Mr. Mayweather himself, in the specific deterrent sense of not committing these kinds of crimes in the future.
Woo! Did they drop a bomb on us today, boxing fans? Floyd Mayweather owes the IRS a lot of money from 2015 when he fought.
According to Business Insider, it's not what you think it is. They said there's no evidence there's been a sale of these properties, and it's 62 rental apartment buildings in Upper Manhattan.
A bunch of apartment buildings in Upper Manhattan. Everybody has found out that that wasn't true. Apparently, it's not that hard to figure out who owns property.
Nothing right now.
Are you saying Mayweather has no money?
Oh, I got a bag back there.
Can you bring it up here? Where's the money?
Recent legal filings have revealed Mayweather's alleged involvement in what prosecutors are calling a fraudulent $402 million real estate scheme. According to multiple court documents and investigative reports, Mayweather is accused of orchestrating a deceptive investment campaign centered around an enormous real estate acquisition in New York City. The allegations suggest he misled potential investors through a combination of exaggerated claims, shell companies, and what legal experts describe as fictitious business ventures. Mayweather, who has long positioned himself as a mogul in real estate and luxury assets, allegedly presented himself as the sole buyer of 62 apartment buildings in Upper Manhattan, promoting the deal as a generational wealth-building move. However, several red flags have since surfaced. Courtroom developments have become increasingly intense, with sources from inside the legal proceedings describing tumultuous hearings, extensive document requests, and heated exchanges between attorneys. Legal analysts point out that one of the core issues involves investor deception, particularly surrounding false claims of full ownership and misrepresented asset valuations. Mayweather has denied any wrongdoing, claiming he was unaware of any fraudulent activity and asserting that he was simply endorsing the deal based on information given to him by advisors. Still, federal investigators are scrutinizing the money trail, demanding transparency on who truly funded the acquisition and whether any of the funds came from illegitimate sources. While no formal charges have been filed against Mayweather, as of this writing, his name being listed in court documents has generated a media frenzy. Even more concerning for his legal team is the possibility that the recent federal inspection of his private jet, which uncovered undeclared assets and encrypted electronic devices, may not have been an isolated incident. Insiders speculate that the jet raid could be part of a broader investigation into Mayweather's financial dealings and business partnerships. As legal experts warn, overlapping cases involving large sums of money, misleading claims, and financial endorsements can quickly spiral into federal prosecutions if evidence of conspiracy or fraud emerges. Mayweather's personal brand has always revolved around excess, private jets, million-dollar jewelry, and the kind of wealth few athletes ever touch. But now, one of his most iconic symbols of success, his Gulfstream G650 private jet, nicknamed Air Mayweather, has landed him in federal crosshairs. Valued at over $60 million, the aircraft has been regularly featured in Mayweather's social media posts, complete with gold-plated seatbelts, custom TBE, the best-ever embroidery, and scenes of him surrounded by piles of cash or luxury goods mid-flight. For years, the jet served as a symbol of his dominance, not only in boxing, but in business. Now, it's a potential crime scene. On April 10, 2025, federal agents and customs officials grounded the jet at Miami International Airport, following a flagged inspection that, according to insider reports, was not routine. Initial findings have since leaked to the press, revealing that agents allegedly discovered large quantities of undeclared cash, unregistered luxury items, and encrypted electronic devices aboard the aircraft. While it remains unclear if Mayweather was on the plane at the time, officials suggest that the inspection was not random, but part of a targeted investigation connected to the ongoing $402 million real estate probe. Aviation law experts note that when a private jet crosses international lines, especially with high-profile passengers, authorities have the right to inspect cargo and passengers under customs and federal trade regulations. In this case, the presence of encrypted devices and suspicious cash movements raises serious questions. Were the electronics being used to facilitate secret transactions? Was the cash part of undeclared business dealings? And crucially, does this tie back to the real estate deal now under scrutiny? While no conclusions have been publicly confirmed, the timing is too close to ignore. Legal analysts say that when financial fraud investigations escalate, authorities often look for physical assets and offshore transaction patterns, which makes the jet inspection highly significant. If evidence found aboard the aircraft supports claims of misrepresentation or wire fraud, the fallout could be devastating for Mayweather's brand and his freedom. Central to this unfolding scandal is the real estate deal itself, a supposed $402 million acquisition of 62 apartment buildings in Upper Manhattan that Mayweather heavily promoted through his platforms and media appearances. He positioned the transaction as a bold leap into generational wealth, telling fans and followers that he was the sole owner, had paid cash, and that all revenue from the building's retail spaces flowed directly to him. In an Instagram video, Mayweather proudly declared, "I don't have no partners. All the buildings belong to me." But after a closer examination by journalists, legal experts, and real estate databases, those claims begin to unravel. According to public property records, there is no verified transaction confirming Mayweather as the sole or primary owner of these properties. Instead, analysts suggest that he may only hold a minority or symbolic stake in a larger investment syndicate. Several buildings reportedly remain under prior ownership or are linked to shell corporations with no clear ties to Mayweather. Even more alarming, some of the promotional materials circulated to potential investors list valuations and income projections that experts have since called wildly inflated and inconsistent with the New York City housing market. Compounding the controversy is Mayweather's reported business association with Jonah Rechnitz, a convicted felon tied to a federal corruption case involving bribery, political donations, and real estate manipulation. Rechnitz's history of financial fraud, including his role in New York's pay-to-play scandals, casts a heavy shadow over the legitimacy of Mayweather's claimed real estate empire. Rechnitz has previously worked with high-profile investors and leveraged celebrity relationships to build credibility, many of which ended in legal consequences. If Mayweather knowingly partnered with Rechnitz, the legal implications could be severe. If he didn't, questions remain about how thoroughly he vetted his partners before promoting the deal. Regardless of his level of involvement, experts say that Mayweather's public endorsement of the project, without full disclosure of his ownership share or legal entanglements, may constitute material misrepresentation under SEC standards, particularly if it influenced investor decisions. In the world of high-stakes real estate and celebrity-backed ventures, factual transparency isn't just ethical, it's required by law. Now, Mayweather may be learning that the hard way. Floyd Mayweather has never shied away from leveraging his global fame. With a social media following in the tens of millions and a personal brand synonymous with luxury, power, and invincibility, Mayweather's name alone can move markets. But in today's financial climate, where influencers and celebrities regularly endorse high-risk ventures, his actions are raising difficult ethical questions. At the heart of the controversy is a growing debate. When does celebrity promotion cross the line into manipulation? Mayweather has repeatedly portrayed himself not only as a boxing legend, but as a business mogul, encouraging fans and followers to invest like money may. He's promoted everything from private jets and jewelry lines to NFTs and real estate ventures. However, many of these endorsements have lacked the transparency that regulators and watchdogs deem essential, particularly when they involve investment products with financial risk. The core issue, critics argue, is that Mayweather's endorsements often blur the line between advertisement and financial advice, without clearly disclosing whether he's being paid or has a stake in the outcome. This ethical gray area was brought into harsh focus during the Centrate Tech ICO scandal, a moment that would become a blueprint for how not to endorse financial products as a celebrity. Mayweather was one of several high-profile figures who publicly promoted the Centrate Tech cryptocurrency token in 2017, hyping it as the future of decentralized banking. What he didn't tell fans at the time was that he had been paid $100,000 to promote the project. When the SEC investigated Centrate Tech, it determined the ICO was fraudulent, and its founders were later arrested and charged. Mayweather was not implicated in the scam itself, but his failure to disclose the payment violated SEC rules. In the resulting settlement, he was fined over $600,000 and agreed to a 3-year ban from promoting any securities. The fallout from this case didn't just hurt Mayweather's public image. It became a cautionary tale about the dangers of trusting celebrity-backed financial endorsements. And yet, it wouldn't be the last time he found himself in the crosshairs. Despite the financial penalties and the promotional ban handed down by the SEC in the Centrate Tech case, Mayweather returned to the world of crypto in 2021, this time promoting Ethereum Max, EMAX, a highly volatile token that would later be accused of being part of a pump-and-dump scheme. Alongside Kim Kardashian and other influencers, Mayweather featured EMAX branding at events, including high-profile boxing matches. He reportedly accepted substantial compensation for these appearances and promotions, though the details of those payments were not publicly disclosed at the time. This led to a class action lawsuit filed in early 2022, alleging that investors were misled by the celebrity endorsements and lost significant amounts of money. Plaintiffs argued that Mayweather and others artificially inflated the token's value through strategic marketing, only for it to crash in the aftermath. While the case was dismissed in December 2022, primarily due to insufficient legal grounds and the speculative nature of cryptocurrency, the damage to Mayweather's public reputation was substantial. The Securities and Exchange Commission maintains strict rules for celebrity endorsements involving investment products. Under Section 17BE of the Securities Act of 1933, any person who promotes a security must disclose the nature, scope, and amount of compensation received. Mayweather's failure to comply with these standards, on more than one occasion, has placed him under a regulatory microscope. Critics argue that his repeated lapses demonstrate either a lack of awareness or disregard for the law. Beyond legal scrutiny, the broader implication is reputational. Financial and legal analysts point out that, in the world of high finance, trust is currency. When a public figure repeatedly misleads or omits key details, it becomes harder for investors and fans to separate the hype from reality. While Mayweather has positioned himself as a businessman above all, the pattern of non-disclosure, promotion of unstable assets, and involvement in legally murky ventures raises a critical question. Is Floyd Mayweather out of his depth in the business world? Or is he exploiting his fame to push high-risk deals onto an unsuspecting public? As Floyd Mayweather's financial empire faces increased scrutiny, so too does his personal network, and the cracks in his inner circle have never been more visible. Behind the scenes, there's been growing tension between Mayweather and other prominent figures in the boxing community, particularly Bill Haney, father and manager of rising star Devin Haney. The rift, according to industry insiders, stems from a series of alleged backdoor maneuvers and attempts by Mayweather to block Devin from securing major fights, including potential matchups with Gervonta Tank Davis and Rolando Raleigh Romero, fighters that Mayweather has connections to. Bill Haney has publicly criticized Mayweather for what he calls a monopoly mindset, suggesting that Floyd attempts to control fight cards and opportunities based on loyalty, not merit. He also claims that Mayweather was frustrated when Devin declined a deal under Floyd's promotional banner, leading to what he describes as intentional career sabotage. The feud escalated with both parties taking subtle jabs in interviews, and Haney, accusing Mayweather of prioritizing personal control and profits over the integrity of the sport. But the Haneys aren't the only ones who've clashed with Floyd. Rapper and entrepreneur 50 Cent, once one of Mayweather's closest friends, has been vocal for years about a falling out that allegedly involved a $2 million business dispute. According to 50 Cent, Mayweather asked him to manage parts of his promotional company while he was incarcerated. 50 claimed to have invested substantial capital during that time, only for Mayweather to later deny the agreement ever took place. In interviews, 50 Cent has accused Mayweather of being surrounded by opportunists and implied that many in Floyd's circle only stay close out of financial dependency. These accounts paint a sobering picture of a man who, despite his immense wealth and public confidence, may be increasingly isolated behind a wall of legal issues, strained relationships, and mistrust. Once hailed as an unmatched strategist, both in and out of the ring, Mayweather now finds himself facing criticism not just for his business ventures, but for the way he manages relationships, personal and professional. The growing consensus among insiders is that Floyd's empire, once built on dominance and branding brilliance, is showing signs of fatigue under the weight of ego, secrecy, and unchecked ambition. As if federal investigations and multi-million-dollar lawsuits weren't enough, Floyd Mayweather found himself embroiled in a bizarre international controversy that would challenge even his most loyal supporters. According to reports that began surfacing in late 2023 and continued into 2024, Mayweather was allegedly prevented from leaving Dubai for several weeks due to a dispute involving an unpaid jewelry debt, an incident that quickly evolved from a private embarrassment into a public spectacle. Initial claims suggested that during one of Mayweather's luxury shopping sprees in Dubai, a high-end jeweler flagged an issue involving a missing item, a custom piece allegedly worth 6 figures. According to insider sources and corroborated by social media chatter at the time, someone within Mayweather's entourage may have walked off with the item, and attempts to resolve the issue privately failed. The jeweler, refusing to back down, allegedly reported the theft to local authorities. While Mayweather was not formally charged, he was reportedly unable to leave the country until the matter was resolved, leading to speculation that he had been held hostage over the missing merchandise. To avoid further complications, Mayweather is said to have paid for the jewelry in full, even though he insisted he was not at fault. His team has since maintained that the situation was a misunderstanding. However, the incident added fuel to an already growing fire. Another example of how lavish spending habits and careless entourage management continue to entangle Mayweather in legal and reputational turmoil. This isn't the first time his lifestyle has gotten ahead of his judgment. Over the years, similar allegations have emerged. Missed payments for watches, lawsuits over unpaid promotional appearances, and a number of publicized tax disputes. While the Dubai story didn't lead to any criminal charges, it reinforced a troubling pattern: extravagant indulgence followed by financial or legal complications. It's a cycle that now seems to define Floyd Mayweather's post-fighting career, raising the question: how much longer can he stay one step ahead? Floyd Mayweather once sold the world a dream: money over everything. It was a persona built on dominance, discipline, and dollar signs. But as the headlines pile up, the cracks in that image are becoming impossible to ignore. The undefeated champion who turned boxing into a billion-dollar brand is now more closely associated with fraud accusations, crypto lawsuits, federal probes, and broken business promises than with championship belts. And what was once seen as ambition is now increasingly viewed as recklessness. For years, Mayweather has rejected the idea that legacy matters more than income. He's said it plainly: belts collect dust, but money lasts forever. That belief system worked during his prime, when pay-per-view numbers shattered records, and his showmanship turned every bout into a cultural event. But outside the ring, that same mindset seems to be catching up with him. In place of lasting investments and respected ventures, Mayweather's name has become attached to failed NFT projects, undelivered merchandise, and investor lawsuits. His business pursuits, often promoted with bravado, have too often ended in disappointment for the people who believed in him. From the outside, it may look like Mayweather is still thriving. Frequent appearances at flashy events, Instagram clips with stacks of cash, and a long line of fans waiting for a photo. But behind the filters, sources close to the boxing world suggest a different reality. A man surrounded by opportunists, dependent on short-term paydays, and struggling to maintain a carefully curated illusion. His business record is increasingly marred by missed obligations and broken deals. And while he still speaks the language of a mogul, his actual assets are under more scrutiny than ever before. At this point, fans and critics alike are asking, is Floyd Mayweather a master strategist or a financial time bomb waiting to explode? Is he simply misunderstood, or has his obsession with wealth made him lose sight of what made him great to begin with? The truth may lie somewhere in between, but one thing is clear. Floyd's next fight may not be against an opponent in the ring. It may be against the consequences of his own unchecked ambition. Floyd Mayweather has always insisted he's not just a boxer. He's a brand, a businessman, a self-made mogul who played the system and came out on top. And to be fair, few athletes have ever commanded the spotlight or the bank vaults like he has. But with lawsuits stacking up, a federal investigation underway, and more questions than answers about his business ventures, it's becoming harder to separate fact from fiction in the Mayweather empire. The $402 million real estate deal that now appears hollow, the federal raid on his jet that might be more than a coincidence, the crypto promotions that led to legal trouble, and the stories from former allies like 50 Cent and Bill Haney, who now view Floyd not as a visionary but as a cautionary tale. Together, these threads paint a picture of a legacy that's no longer about greatness, but about damage control. So now, it's your turn to weigh in. Do you think Floyd Mayweather knew what was going on with these deals? Or is he being used by people around him? Is this just another tabloid moment for the money team? Or the beginning of something much bigger? Drop your take in the comments, because this story is far from over. If you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to like this video to support the channel, subscribe to Boxing is Here for the latest updates, fight breakdowns, and expert analysis, and turn on notifications so you never miss an upload. Until next time, peace out.